What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 262 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB, it's Deej, coming at you. We got a lot to get into on this episode. We've got NLL, we've got PLL, we've got college, and we've just got some fun, things to get off our chests for the lacrosse community as a whole. So stick with us. Don't go anywhere because we're bringing it on this episode. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Instagram. We've been putting out our, quick hit previews for each championship series game on our Instagram exclusively. So go check that out. OTB LaxPod. You can follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. You can follow me at KBIZZL311. And if you follow us on Instagram, we're sharing it on our personal Instagrams as well. So you can follow our Instagrams just as much as you follow us on the tweet machine. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Shout out to our host site for our podcast, because now we can see how many people subscribe/follow. That's the term Spotify uses on Spotify, which is pretty nice. We're pretty close to a milestone number on Spotify, so follow us there. Subscribe on Apple. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It does help the show continue to grow. And now that we have more eyeballs on metrics, we can really see how much we're growing. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's where you get full video episodes of this show, every show on our network. You get live streams, shorts, original content, interviews, you name it. We're working on tons of stuff for this show for the rest of 2023 and beyond, so you're not going to want to miss it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're at 388 subscribers right now. Can we please get to 400 by the end of the month? That's the goal. Get us to 400. Subscribe to the YouTube, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. And make sure you guys go and get your merch from our amazing merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. They're the best in the game. Official Outside the Box podcast merch is available on their site. We got the logo tee. We got the OTB banner hoodie that you can snag. We want to see you guys rocking them at your favorite stadiums, in the NLL, when you're on the road for the PLL, college, all that good stuff. Tag us when you get your merch. And when you do get your merch, use code UNDERGROUND when you visit phiapparel.co. Use code UNDERGROUND. You get 10% off, and that's how they know you're coming from us. phiapparel.co. Use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off. It's the most effective and direct way to support us and help us keep doing this thing as big as we possibly want to. So go get your merch. Tag us when you get it, and let's see where you're rocking your merch across the nation. What's poppin', Deej?
Living the dream. I am living the dream. Got my Xbox this week. Got to play it for all of one night. Before the next night, I lost power due to an ice storm. It's been tragic here. Haven't had power for a couple of days, so I've been moving around a lot at friends' houses and at work and all of that. I'm having a great time, though. I'm here. I'm alive. There was been a ton of lacrosse. Just because I haven't had power, first off, it waited until 9 p.m. exactly to turn off Wednesday night. Like, the game ended and my power went out. It was so weird, but I was like, hey, I saw the first 2 games. I'm happy. And don't think I missed the first 2 yesterday. Or the 2 yesterday. I got around to watching those as well. So I haven't missed any lacrosse. There's been a ton of lacrosse on. I've been watching it all as much as I can. College is so hard to keep up with. I did my thing, though. Did some scoreboard watching during the day. Went back and watched some clips and some games and all of that. So I had my fair share of lacrosse this weekend. Hopped on that Hogwarts. If you ain't got it, you should get it. And if you got it, I don't see how you're not playing it every day. I've been bugging, trying to get back to it, but I don't have anywhere to play it right now. So I should have brought it to work and just stayed here late. we got a nice flat screen in the front, like 50 inches. Nice. Nobody ever uses it.
I have to check with my sister because she pre-ordered that for me and her, and it was like part of my birthday gift. And I just don't know if it got delivered to her and Matt's house or what happened, but I got to figure that out.
You need to call her now because they definitely got it.
I've
been out for a minute. So.
I'll definitely be calling her after this musical comes to a close. Because that's where I have been spending all of my time.
They just need to get a multiplayer mode so you can imagine us just on there.
Dom has it. Dom's got the game,
you know what
too.
I'm saying? We would be thugged out on there. We have our own little underground crew.
Underground wizard gang.
They're not ready for it.
The Whiz Kids.
The Whiz Kids. Our crew leader, Logan Wisnowskis. He's our headmaster.
When the games recovering slow down a little bit, I think that's going to be the next Squire 6's top 6 whizzes.
Yes.
Comment on YouTube your list.
Speaking of, those of you, my people in Kalamazoo, check out the Block app, my radio station. We are giving away 5 pair of Wiz Khalifa tickets when it comes to Kalamazoo next month. What will be next month, April 15th. So you need some tickets to Wiz. We got 5 pair we're giving away.
There it is. We got a lot to dive into on this episode. We got a nice little NLL Week 12 recap for the people. It was quite the week. Great games across the board. It went like this: Calgary topped Vancouver 14-9. Saskatchewan with the big upset, quote unquote, over San Diego 16-11. Toronto beats Georgia again 16-7. Las Vegas beats Albany 12-10 in the battle of the Dogs. The Dogs and the Wolves. Overtime, Bandits get a win off the stick of the Great Dane himself, Dane Smith, 13-12. That was easily the best game of the weekend, in my opinion. Hands down, both teams played phenomenal, and both of those teams deserve to win. So I think the NLL should just give both teams a win in the win column. They both played fantastic. Like it was.
Sir, stop it. Take the L and just remember it and go back and beat them in Buffalo. Like
by that, well, they were in Buffalo,
in Philly. My bad. Yeah.
By that I mean, like, if you told me either team won, like if you turned it off going into overtime, like, and said either team won, agree.
It's very believable. Yeah.
And that just continues to add to my scientific proof that no matter what and no matter where they are on the scale, Buffalo and Philly always play each other like super well.
Or maybe
for as long as I've been covering the team.
Maybe Buff plays bad. Maybe Buff just plays bad.
I don't think so because they win every time.
That don't mean that they don't play bad.
I don't think Buffalo's played bad in the last like 4 matchups against the Wings. I think there was one bad
the Wings
matchup.
Just playing that good.
I think the Wings are a team that, in certain circumstances, outside of when the Toronto Rock are
or
on
do you
schedule,
think
they play up to the competition?
Are they really playing up though, or do you think it's just like evenly matched? Like
I think there's some of that
with the way that the Wings play defense and the way that the Buffalo offense is constructed. I
also think part of it is, to an extent, Higgy used to be the backup in Buffalo and knows those guys very well. So as long as Higgy's been there, it's been like an elevated competitiveness. So that helps too. And then I think there's just like that competitive aspect. I think with every team when they play Buffalo, no matter who it is, that like those guys get talked about offensively like no other, and every team just wants to go out there and try to match it.
Yeah, that's true. Because like, even though they haven't won a chip, they're just like that. They were like the Whips last year in PLL terms. Like, yeah, they lost to Chaos, but they were still the team to beat, and that's how everybody like looked at them. Like, they're still that gold standard we're trying to get to, and it's like Buffalo hasn't won a championship in years, but everybody's still trying to get to like that standard. And I would say the same thing for the Rush. Like, a lot of people are still trying to emulate that Rush offense and the success that they had back when they were very good. You still see that now. Like, there's kind of like, once a gold standard is set, especially within the game of lacrosse, people are trying to forever reach that standard.
100%. Panther City tops Colorado, who might be dead, like we mentioned last week, 13-7, and then Halifax tops New York 13-12 in. I don't know if it was because it was the only game on your televisions at the time that this game was being played. But it feels like this game was the most heavily like bantered and discussed and like controversial. There was a lot of like people posting clips like, oh, from like both sides of the spectrum, with like missed calls or calls that were made, and Halifax gets the 13-12 win in probably second best game of the weekend. Only reason I give the nod to the other game is because it took overtime. Like, they were in just a heavyweight slugfest for 4+ quarters. But the standings look like this right now as well. Buffalo and Toronto tied at the top in the East at 8-2. Rochester off last week, so they're 7-2, still sitting pretty. Halifax at 500 at 5-5. The Wings at 3-5, but in I think an okay 3-5, if that makes any sense to people. Like, they're 3-5, but I think they're closer to the Halifax 5-5 than they are to the next teams I'm going to talk about. Firewolves 2-6, Riptide 2-7, Georgia 0-7. Like, I think the Wings are closer
to. They're not far from. Well, I see what you're saying, and I agree.
In
with
terms
your
of
point.
like how they're playing.
Yeah, well,
like
I'm gonna make a point. Like, I agree with you because of how close their games are. A couple of things go their way. We're talking about the Wings being 6-2,
500 or better.
5-5. You know, like, we're talking about them being in a much better echelon than what we are talking about them now. But we could say the same thing about the Riptide. The Riptide have lost
100%.
4 games this year by 1 goal, and I think 2 of them were in overtime. So it's like, legitimately, especially the one we went to, like,
that should have been a win. They could have easily won this game against Halifax.
And they win 3 or 4 of those games out of, I think, 5 or 6 that have been 1-goal games that they've had this year. We're talking about them in a completely different. We're talking about them more like we're talking about Rochester, more like they completely surprised us and we weren't expecting them to be this good. So, like,
and to that,
records show, but not completely. You know what I'm saying?
To that,
like,
too, the Riptide are a better 2-7 than Albany is 2-6.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially, and that's what I mean. Like, with the Wings are closer to Halifax's echelon of 5-5 than they are to Albany's 2-6, and the Riptide are closer to the Wings 3-5 than they are to Albany's 2-6.
And a lot closer than that last one.
Everybody's a lot closer than that last one. Who, like, that still kind of boggles my mind. Like, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think, when they were like 0-5 or 0-4. Like, if you would have told us the Georgia Swarm would be the last winless team in the league this year, we would have looked at you like you had 12 heads.
Somebody go save my boy.
I feel like with Lyle, it's that video meme of the dude where he walks up to the glass window and there's the cat and there's like, I'm gonna get you out of there. I'm gonna get you out.
Seriously, but he has no clue how to get him out. Because like you just look at, other than probably that Chesapeake Bayhawks team, you look at Lyle's professional career. You had the
17
2017
Swarm
Swarm that were
that won
good,
the championship. Yeah.
and then that Bayhawks team he's played on that was like stacked with like Miles and all of them and Deemer Class. Like
Even the
other,
Bayhawks bubble team.
yeah, other than those teams, he's been on like teams that are just awful.
Yeah, I mean, there's been Swarm teams that were like there and like competitive and just like got upset in the playoffs. But yeah, it's getting to the point where like if the Swarm were presented with the opportunity, like somebody offers you a king's ransom, not sure what that would be, but I think if you're the Swarm, you have to at least like
Entertain.
listen.
You have to entertain.
Like you pick up the phone.
You have to entertain. Like there's no
like, and it's not even
to.
just for the betterment of their franchise. It's if you care about Lyle Thompson, the player, and his career as a whole, you want to see him succeed.
You want, yeah, exactly.
Um,
It's literally at that point to where they have to acknowledge all things regarding anyone on the team, if you ask me, but especially Lyle.
And then the Western Conference is a dogfight right now. The Seals at 6-2, still at the top, but right behind them with a +1 in the win column, but still one back in the loss column. The Roughnecks at 7-3, certified wagon. The Rush at 5-3, not far behind. Panther City sticking around at 6-4. Then you have Colorado at 4-5, the Desert Dogs at 3-5, and the Vancouver Warriors at 1-9. Here's a fun question for you, since we were just talking about like who's closer in what aspect. Which team do you think is in better shape right now and like closer to a playoff spot, whether it's a wild card or, you know, one of the teams that qualify from the conference? The Wings in the East or the Mammoth in the West?
The Mammoth are, what did you say, 3-5?
They're 4-5. They played one more game than the Wings. I think it's the Wings. For one simple fact, they're healthier. Knock on wood.
Right. That's one thing, but like the West ain't all that strong.
That's debatable.
You got the three up top.
And Panther City.
Yeah, I mean Panther City, but it's like
I think Panther City's in better shape.
I do believe
Panther
and just
City's
like
in
better shape.
The way Callum has fit in with that team since that trade.
All it takes is for Colorado to either find a groove or get healthy, and it's not like Dylan Ward isn't the best goaltender in the league. Truly, like he is keeping them in these games. They're not getting blown out; they're just not winning. And
they can't score.
And
they can't score. And then Capito being out, they don't have their transition game, which is, you know, when he's healthy, he's arguably best non-face-off transition guy in the league.
Yeah, I definitely think the Wings have a better chance. I just don't know.
I think the Wings with Mitch Jones have looked like a completely different team, and I think you would say the same. Like that was one of those things. Like when the trade happened, it was like, are they just a Mitch Jones away? And in the games that he's played so far, he's completely changed like the dynamic of their offense.
I just don't know if they have enough to catch up at this point. You know, we're getting later into the year, and like, you know, they still have to play Toronto again, who they like can't seem to beat. Halifax is always a tough game for them. Georgia's always a tough game for them. Like, they have tough games coming up, and it's like you drop one or two of those, especially to people who are ahead of you, it's going to be real hard for you to get into the mix.
I'm going to pull up the remaining schedule for both of these teams.
You see what I'm saying? It's almost like they're counting on getting that wild card like they did last year.
Yeah, and I think at this point that's probably what it's going to end up being, just with the top dogs. Because, I mean, let's be honest, we liked how frisky Rochester had a chance to be this year. We didn't think they were going to be elite, which kudos to them, you know, figuring it out and getting the right pieces. Here's Colorado's remaining schedule to kind of put it in perspective. They play Panther City again this week in Colorado. Then they're home again on March 10th against Calgary. March 18th, we get the NLL Finals rematch finally in Buffalo. Then the 25th of March, they go to Vancouver. Then they're home on the 31st of March against Las Vegas. Then they host Vancouver, host San Diego. Then they go to Saskatchewan and to San Diego. So they still have San Diego twice on their schedule. They still have Saskatchewan again, 2 against Vancouver and 1 against Vegas. But, hey, the Vegas one's not a given. Like we've seen Vegas, prevail even when they're down. They came back from 8 goals before. They still have Buffalo on their schedule. They still have Calgary on their schedule's tough the rest of the way. That is a tough schedule, including Panther City in that. That's a tough schedule for Colorado, being where they are physically in terms of health-wise and everything. This is the Wings schedule remaining. They're off this weekend. They come back March 4th with that 11:30 a.m. start time against your Riptide. Then they have the Monday night Lacrosse, March 6th. So 2 games next week for the Wings against Toronto. Saturday, March 11th, they're at New York. And then March 18th, they have their other 11 a.m. start time against Georgia. And then they play back-to-back that weekend. They go to Rochester. That'll be a fun game. Over-under penalty minute bet in that one. Saturday, March 25th, they host Halifax. Sunday, April 2nd, Rochester comes to Philly. Saturday, April 15th, they go to Toronto. And then April 23rd, they go to Albany. And then April 29th, they go to Rochester. So they have 3 against Rochester still.
Bro.
Which is
y'all
wild.
Could possibly
it's
only
all
win.
Compressed.
They could possibly only win 2 to 3 more games.
I'd say on paper they beat Albany.
Yes. That was a chalk for sure.
Rochester, they'll get at least 1. They'll get 1.
Maybe.
They'll get 1.
It's tough to beat the team 3 times, but I don't know, man.
The Halifax game I'm intrigued by.
Yeah.
Because that's another one. I throw the game we did the live stream for out the window. Every other time these 2 teams have played, it's been very competitive.
They did blow them out.
Yeah. I think that was, first game, And again, not to make it an excuse, but they'll have Mitch Jones in this game. They didn't have Mitch Jones in that first game. So the offense has been completely different. They'll beat Georgia 13-12, like they always do.
Hey, don't say it like Georgia can't beat you 12-11, like they've done a couple of times.
And then it wouldn't shock me if they split with the Riptide.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And then, you get, 2 cracks in
Sweat.
Toronto
Sweat.
to break the curse?
Sweat. Just go ahead. 0-2. Just call it. Sweat. I know you won't, but I'm calling it for you.
Genuinely, though, whose schedule do you think is harder the rest of the way? And I'm being totally unbiased. I think Colorado's is tougher.
It's hard. It's hard for me because I'm looking at it through 2 different lenses. Because, you make the point with Colorado, they have a tough schedule just in general, who's on it. But then you look at their team and, how healthy they are. They're not ready for that run. But then you look at Philly and who is on their schedule outside of the Riptide. And, Albany for this standpoint because of how they are. Everybody else is a true, rival. And it's going to be a pure battle. So it's every game on their schedule is almost a toss-up outside of the 3 with the Riptide and Albany. So it's it's hard to tell who really has a tougher schedule because of Colorado's circumstances, but then who is on the schedule for Philadelphia.
And I think the other thing that favors the Wings right now, like we talked about with Colorado, Colorado can't score. The Wings can score. Like they can go back and forth with a team. It's a matter of them closing, and can they close against some of these big dogs right now? But at least we know that as of late they can score goals. And that's the name of the game.
And that was a big standpoint. That is the name of the game, but they're running into a dangerous territory with. They're reminding me of an Aaron Rodgers in the early 2010s. All right, defense, just go out there and stop them in the middle of the fourth quarter, and I'll win the game. That's kind of just how they're playing. They're like, hey, defense, just hold them to 12, and we'll score 13. Like, you can't be saying that when you're playing Toronto, when you're playing Rochester. Because they'll be like, oh, you think you get 12? Okay, we'll score 15. We'll score 18. And then Halifax will score 20. And then you're just looking like, well, fuck. So they kind
I
of
also don't know when the trade deadline is. Not that like
right
goes into this at all, but like if any other moves are going to be made. Like we know Paul Day is a guy who's not afraid to make a move. They made a move this week. They traded John Rannigan back to Georgia. So it's like he's an aggressive GM, so it wouldn't shock me. And, preseason, remember he told us Brock Sorensen had that itch. So we'll see if that comes into play as well.
He did tell us.
So that'll be something to just keep an eye on for everybody at home. Don't take that all with like the biggest grains of salt.
Oh my God.
Like,
Huge.
Don't quote us on that.
The
like,
ones you can actually see.
Yeah. It's like the giant salt rocks, not
for
just
real,
a grain.
Because, man,
don't
say we told
that
you that.
The Wings have like one of the two teams that they play 3 times this year. All 3 are in these final 2 months of the season.
That's pain. That's pain. Because
it's going to be fun. Because
I'm along the lines that if you lose the first 2, it's harder to win the third.
Yeah. And I think.
And if the
first
one,
in a sense, it's good for both teams, for Rochester and Philly, that they're playing each other at this point in the season, because they're in full swing. Like, this is the team you have. It's not like one of those instances where it's like, oh, we played early on and we only got one crack at you, and now we're a different team. I think it's good that, like, for the most part, they'll be playing each other after the trade deadline and everything.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Comment on YouTube who you think has the better rest of season outlook, the Wings or the Mammoth. We want to hear from you guys. I'm sure Hoots is like, shut the fuck up, you idiots. It's Colorado all day.
Oh, he's so mad right now. He's probably fuming.
Let's get into your State of the Fandom. Deej is brought to you by our homies over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Guys, these late nights that I've had, staring at screens at ungodly hours, going outside, and you guys know we subscribe to the fact that sunglasses are more important in the wintertime than they are in the spring and summer. Go get your Tomahawk Shades. They're already at an affordable price. They're at a fraction of the cost of those big name brands that are like just bending you over in terms of price for what they're giving you. Tomahawk Shades is giving you that quality for a fraction of the price. Look at Deej. Stunner. Stunning right there. Product placement.
These are my work sunglasses.
Look at that. See, Tomahawk Shades is so affordable that you can have work sunglasses and then you can have other sunglasses to wear to other events.
I got driving sunglasses, I have coaching sunglasses, and I have my everyday sunglasses.
Look at that. That's the quality that Tomahawk Shades is giving you. And you guys can get it for even more of a fraction of a price, because when you go to check out at tomahawkshades.com, use promo code USP and you get 25% off your entire order at tomahawkshades.com. That's promo code USP at tomahawkshades.com for 25% off your order. Oh, did we mention too that, Tomahawk Shades owned by Kyle Harris and Chris Hogan? Ever heard of them? Deej, your State of the Fandom after this week. Has anything flipped upside down changed in the outlook. Obviously, Vancouver and Georgia off the board. Has anybody else taken a seat on the bench like the Homer Simpson gif of him patting the couch, saying "Join us"?
Yeah, Albany. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, but one person getting hurt shouldn't change your entire team like that. So, I mean, in that same respect, Colorado's kind of tipping that point as well, because we saw this happen with them a little bit last year when Ryan Lee went down. They kind of had a slump for quite a few games trying to figure their stuff back out. If this lasts longer, Colorado's kind of in that same boat where one person getting hurt shouldn't change your entire team. I understand how it affects, but you have to be able to make adjustments and figure that out. That's part of the game. People have to step up. Coach has to make changes. Whatever you got to do, you got to make it happen. And right now, they're not doing that. So, yeah, Albany's going to have to take a seat. But everybody else is kind of still in good graces for the most part. I will say I've decided my search for fandom cannot exceed the beginning of next season. I have to pick before game 1 next season.
I dig it.
So most likely by the end of playoffs, I'll have a team.
Everybody in the comments section, pour one out for the Albany Firewater Drip Dog.
My boys are still good though.
With a lot of S's.
Always going to support them. Ask Lyle,
That's a fact. So there it is. Albany, pour one out. F's in the chat for Albany. Let's head into our Week 13 preview, Deej. We've got not the most loaded schedule this week, which is kind of nice for us since we have a lot of lacrosse to be covering. 5 games on the slate. Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we get Panther City at Colorado, so just a reverse of last week. They were in Panther City last week. And then 10:30 p.m. Eastern time for the true late night sickos, Calgary at Las Vegas in a Frisky Bowl type of matchup. And then Saturday, 3 games, New York at Rochester, Albany at Georgia, both of those games at 7 Eastern time. And then 8 Eastern time, Vancouver at Saskatchewan, which I think is like the TSN game of the week, which early in the season when they made that the TSN game of the week, I don't think they were expecting Vancouver to be where they are right now. Not the most appetizing schedule of games. I mean, obviously it's a limited slate. It's only 5 games, but we talked about this last week after we recorded, I think. There's 2 games that really catch our interest this weekend as a whole. And I think we both said Calgary-Vegas is going to be one of those games to just keep an eye on. And then New York-Rochester is easily game of the weekend.
I hope that Calgary-Vegas game is in Calgary.
It's in Vegas.
Oh, that's going to be so bland. There's no color.
Oh, fuck. I didn't even think about that.
There is no color. The turf would have provided something. It's just
I'm just going to
white and gray.
If I end up watching that game, I'm just going to put my TV in black and white, and there's no difference.
It's going to be so hard to know who's who.
Wow, it's the Monochrome Bowl.
Yeah, bro. I'm excited. I'm excited for this, man.
Man. I didn't even think of that.
Should I put my team in box gear and go out there and join them?
Throw the Raiders in there for good measure, too.
Hey, why not? We're all in black and gray.
Chicago White Sox, put them in there.
Brooklyn Nets, let's go. LA Kings, come on.
Come on.
This shouldn't be this much fun.
I didn't even think of that. Great call by you.
I'm excited.
Hopefully Panther City, Colorado is at least a little more competitive than last week. Do I expect it to be? Not really. But I hope, you can always hope. Shout out Robert Hope.
You would think they'll come ball strapped, ready to go after just losing last week and not wanting to get swept. But
Well, I think Dylan Ward's going to have a game because I don't know if you saw his tweet. Somebody smashed in his window this weekend.
He had a game last week. He had 60 saves.
This past week, though?
Yes. What do you want him to do?
Dylan's going to score a goal this week.
I mean, that's still not going to help him win.
It could.
One goal ain't going to help. They need a whole lot more than one goal. And
yeah, well, that's goal production they haven't been getting all season.
Especially when he's been making 60 saves on the other side. I don't know what else you want him to do.
Did you see his tweet, though?
No, I didn't.
Someone smashed his window in this week. He said, to the person who smashed my car window, you didn't take my NLL championship ring, you dummy. And then he said, in a follow-up tweet, I don't keep it in my car. It was on my finger for an event I had this weekend. Yeah, the exact tweet. To the person who smashed in my car window today, you missed my Mammoth championship ring. You dumb. Followed up by, I'm wearing it for an event tonight. I don't keep the ring in my car.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, not much. I mean, that Albany, Georgia game. Oof. If there was ever a weekend for Georgia to get their first win.
It's this weekend.
If they don't win this weekend, they might not win a game the rest of the year.
Would that be a first?
Probably.
I would truly cry.
Gone winless ever. I could be wrong. We'll get a fact check on that for the people. But yeah, not much to break down from these games, truly, in terms of a preview. So I think, Deej, without any further ado, we
feed the duckies.
We feed some ducks, head over to the pond, and it's the NLL Week 13 Picks of the Week, brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, rack up points on your fan profiles, cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace. That's playpickup.com. Deej, we got Panther City at Colorado kicking off the weekend. I think we both are feeling on the same page here. Both going Panther City.
Oh, yeah, no question. I'm rocking with the boys in purple. They look good. They've been looking good all year. They're going to make the jump over them this week. They'll give them 6 losses. They'll be at 7-4. They'll be looking pretty. I like Panther City to make the playoffs this year.
I'm right there with you. They look good.
They look good.
Next up, Calgary, Las Vegas in the Monochrome Bowl. They're a wagon, and they're playing phenomenal right now. Is Vegas going to be frisky and make us want to pull our hair out in this game? Absolutely. But right, you can't pick against Calgary with the way they're playing right now. They are playing full team lacrosse right now. From offense, looks great. Transition game is always great with them. And I think I read a stat this week. I think they're 5-1 since they traded for Josh Courier. So, give me Calgary.
Speaking of Courier, his brother Zach had 4 blocks and 3 caused turnovers last week. I think Zach Courier is officially the best all-around lacrosse player on the planet. And I think this one's going to be a goalie battle, though. There's a lot of firepower in between the lines for these teams. Landon Kells has been phenomenal this year. But he's no Christian Del Bianco, who might be the funniest goalie I've ever met. Which is hard to say because literally all goalies are funny.
Yes.
Because for more than half the game, they're standing there thinking of what to say. So for him to be that funny should tell you why I rock with him. I'm definitely going with Calgary in this one.
So the next up is our collective game of the weekend. New York Riptide at the Rochester Nighthawks. don't know where you're going here, but I got to go with the home squad. The boys I've said have looked great all year long. I said they were going to be great. I surprised you early in the year with the Rochester jersey on. They're another team that, like, yes, they've had a couple blips on the radar, but they've kept it competitive in those blips on the radar. And I mean, with no Toronto or Buffalo in action this week, this is a massive game for them to kind of just keep pace and get back to that, same record as those two teams. So give me Rochester to get the home dub.
Yeah, this one's tough for me because I went with the boys last week, and they were there. And like we talked about the banter online about a lot of different things with the way this game came out. I could be in a totally different standpoint on this based on that. So that's why it's hard for me to pick. But due to a lack of a true shutdown defender from the Riptide, they're going to have a very tough time with Connor Fields, in my opinion. So I'm going to have to give Rochester the lean on this one.
Moving on to the Obi-Wan Kenobi, You're My Only Hope matchup of the weekend. The Albany Firewolves at the winless Georgia Swarm. This game is gross. Goes against all your standards of picking teams that are eliminated from your fandom. But I feel like there is a leaning point for you. This is the toughest game to pick of the week.
Well, the matchup to look at is Dougie James versus Lyle Thompson. How many times can he stop Lyle Thompson? And how many times can Lyle Thompson score on Dougie James?
This game is gross.
I'm going to just go out on a limb. And as much as I hate their mascot, I'm picking Georgia. I'm putting all my faith in Lyle.
That's what I'm leaning to. It's like Lyle greater than sign.
Everybody else.
Albany can throw at Georgia.
Yeah.
But man, that Georgia defense, bro.
I know. But the goalies have been better.
Except last week.
Hey, they played who last week?
Toronto. Twice.
I wasn't expecting that goalie to be good anyway. No offense
Whew.
to anyone, but you playing offense like that and you've already had struggles this year, they're going to pick you apart.
If there's ever a moment for them to get it, it's this week. So I'm going to ride with the Georgia Swarm as well. I don't like it. I hate it, actually. But I'm going to go Georgia. And then the final matchup of the weekend, Vancouver at Saskatchewan. I think we're both on the same page here, if I'm not mistaken. And we're both going Saskatoon.
Yeah. I've liked the way they've looked. This is a home game for them too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're on the same page this week. We've seen that work in our favor, and we've seen that go horrific.
You did that on purpose.
I did not. I was really thinking about that last game before Sask and Vancouver.
Because, bruh,
I think
if you mess up
on
my
paper,
record, bro,
on paper, this is like, these are the teams I think people would pick. Like, as a whole, this is like the public perception of who's going to win.
Yes. But if you mess up my record, bro, we got a box. I've been going so dumb. I was so mad I had 2 losses this week. I haven't had 2 losses in like 4 weeks, bro. I've been going so dumb.
Hey, at least you didn't have to suffer an overtime loss.
I told you not to do it. I
felt great throughout the whole game, and then I saw it go to overtime, and I was like, oh, fuck.
I felt great until y'all tied it, and I was like, shit. I was like, okay, Buff still got a chance, though, in this last. And I was like, really? The last shot they had a regulation? I was like, that's what y'all came up with? I was not happy, but then overtime happened, and I was like, all right, I'm good. It was the SAS game though.
Yeah, that threw us both off.
And I think if I go back, I pondered that game for a little bit before I ended up choosing San Diego.
That was tough. But there it is. We're both going Panther City, Calgary, Rochester, Georgia, Saskatchewan, and that's our Week 13 NLL picks of the week.
Okay, say we do get 1L. Who do you think it is that we drop?
Georgia.
You think Georgia would lose to Albany? Still.
Yeah. They haven't proven that they can win this year, so.
Just Lyle, bro.
Lyle could score 7 goals in this game, and they'd still lose 8-7.
They would still lose on some Miles Turner energy.
They'd lose 8-7.
8 threes, 40 points. Lose to the Celtics. That's it. Yeah, you got a point, bro. He could really go for like 7 and 4 assists, have 11 points, and lose.
Yeah. They'll lose 10-9.
Bro, your math bad. I just said 7 and 4 to make 11. You said 10-9.
You telling me Lyle can't assist his own goals?
Yes.
If there's one person that would just be like, fucking Thanos mode, fine, I'll do it myself. He'll just go
off the wall.
off the back glass into the net. That's Lyle.
Off the back glass, caught it, and like, do you have to give him an assist for that? I would think.
It's a Lyle assist. It's like how they call it a hockey assist. It's a Lyle assist.
Or does the wall get the assist?
Well, the wall's not on the roster, so
should be. do enough passes into it.
Be better defense than what they have right now.
See, you took it too far. I was just I was just talking about turnovers.
Let's go. We'll keep it indoors, but it is the PLL Championship Series in full swing. Keep up to date with our thoughts on the Champ Series. We've been posting daily Instagram video breakdowns for each matchup at OTB Laxpod on Instagram. I unfortunately haven't been able to watch the games in real time just because of my prior commitments to even the Championship Series being announced. But I've caught highlights and seen just like the score updates, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? It's crazy, bro.
Pandemonium. That is what's going on. It's bonkers. Chrome is definitely fit for this style like we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were.
But no. Atlas is exactly who we thought Chrome was going to be.
I don't know if we thought that it was like what. I don't think we thought Chrome was going to be what Atlas was, because we talked about it last week too. Like we thought Chrome was going to be good because they were like the bigger team and like could dodge harder and all that kind of stuff. But I think Atlas has that along with the speed and like the finesse game. See that Chris Gray goal.
I mean, they got the finesse game. They all got that. The speed, maybe a little bit, but like it's really, like you mentioned, just the brute strength. Like they're playing like bulls. Like the meme everybody's throwing around with the running of the bulls, dude just gets flattened. That's real. Like that is exactly what it looks like. Like they're literally just out there running everybody over, shooting when they want to, playing good defense, knocking guys over, causing turnover. Like they're just running through the competition. Literally, like, there's no other way to put it. Like they are playing like they are the biggest, baddest team to exist, and it's showing on the scoreboard. 29, two games in a row. You know, and Romar can't miss a 2 on the run. He literally can't.
I said that in my first game. I said with that 13-point arc, Romar's going to have a phenomenal Champ Series.
Chris Gray pinging corners from 13 is nuts.
That's all he needs.
Costa wants to pull up from 15 still because he can. Romar pulls up from 17 the other day. Splash. Like,
Romar pulled up from the fucking Washington Monument.
And nobody's really talking about Caraway being 4 for 4 from 2-point land in this championship series. Like, he's also come
It's
in
great
and
for our brand.
has been phenomenal on fulfilling that extra spot. Like, oh, sure, you're gonna pay a lot of attention to Romar and Costa. Well, I'm here and I'll pop it too and make it too. Like, so they're owning the 2-point arc, but also still having everything else on the inside and then being brutal on defense.
Can I also add to this Atlas success?
You talking about Kincannon in that camera?
Well, not even that. On top of like the players on the field, tip of the cap and
Stephen
like
Brooks.
job well done to Stephen Brooks so far. Like, we tweeted it and a lot of people agree. Like, remove the interim tag now. Like, he's cut out for the job, and if he wants it, give it to him. Like, that dude has that locker room in the palm of his hand in the best way, like, of that term. Like, they just genuinely look like they're having fun playing for him.
Exactly. And that's a big standpoint, is being excited to play and enjoying what your coach has to say and where he's setting you up and how he's dictating the game, right? Because that's kind of a coach's job, is to put players in positions to do their best. That all they really do is manage subs. That's a coach's job, and really all sports is to manage subs. You're putting out the best number, whatever, however many you have. Football the best 11, lacrosse the best 10, or best 5, whatever style you're playing. You're just putting that many guys out that's going to do the best job together. So all you're doing is managing subs, and if you're able to constantly put players in good positions and you teach them how to do it themselves, you break things down for them, and you make it fun, no matter what age, professional all the way down to kids, they're going to enjoy it, and they're going to show that, and they'll play like that.
Which I couldn't help but laugh and like wish that Coach Rubio was still on the sideline because of our fun interaction this past season of me asking him about subs.
Yeah, that would have been subs and myth would be bonkers. I'll tell you. He'd be like, I ain't even worry about subs, real talk. I got other stuff to be saying. The subs happening too fast.
The jerseys across the board look phenomenal visually. Because it's also one of those things that, like, you and I talk about all the time with the drip. It's like, it can look good in a post picture. How does it look on the field? These jerseys look stunning. And I hope that, like, we've been talking about it since you've come on as the full-time host of this show. Like, we want to see, like, third jerseys used. And I hope these teams, because they've earned it, and it's kind of like the NBA, like when you get that jersey for making the playoffs, I hope they get to wear these during the regular season as well.
I would love that. I would love it. They're fantastic. They're amazing. The only problem is I don't know if they made jerseys for the entire team. I mean, obviously that's not a big deal for them to just make more, but I agree. They should be able to pull those out and wear them whenever they want. Or if the league puts stipulations, you can only wear them twice a year. That's fine. I would love to see them incorporated. Maybe, to make the other teams feel included, you put in one of their limited edition jerseys, like the most recent one, for the other 4 teams that didn't get in.
Or, for those 4 teams, earn your spot.
Or it's just that, earn your fucking keep. And it is what it is.
Earn your jersey. Because it's like the NBA, like the teams that don't make the playoffs, they don't get that extra jersey. So
yeah, but they still get like their city jersey and everything. So
but we know we kind of have like a 95%, like the throwback jerseys are coming back again this year. So you'll get those. I think it would be a cool like thing if like these teams that are in the champ series get to wear these like once or twice during the regular season, and just show them off for the people that in person didn't get to see them at the champ series.
Me.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the 2 teams playing in the championship, whoever that may be.
Should I look at flags? I'll get on that, John, today.
I think Chrome have looked, even though they are 0-2, they've looked great. So our prediction not as strong of them winning the whole thing, but like they've looked good, and they can hang in this format. I think the Archers look great. Obviously, Atlas are balling. The Whips, though, Stagg said it after the first game. He said the game's more fun when he has Michael Earhart and his whole defense back there. I think that's just the status quo of the Whips. They are built from the back up, and they're kind of learning.
I just saw that flight price. $600 to go plane today.
Sheesh.
Guess we're not getting on a plane today.
They've like predicated themselves on that. They're built on defense. They're built on their ability to have Michael Earhart, and then they hit singles, and then they also don't have two of their top goal scorers that they would have in the regular season in Rambo and Zed. So that, takes away from it a little bit. I am kind of surprised that, like, just the offense as a whole with the guys who are playing, like, we haven't just seen more from them. Like, I think Brad Smith has looked phenomenal, and I think anybody would have said that would have been the case for Brad Smith. But, like, I feel like we kind of expected more from these guys that, like, are playing for the Whips in a more prominent role now because Rambo and Zed aren't there, and it just feels like it's, like, not quite there yet.
Yeah, they have some stuff to work on. Jackson Reed, Keegan Khan, those kind of guys, they are having an opportunity to kind of fill out kind of where they could fit into an offense and how things work. In my opinion, they should be running through those guys a little more, getting them on the defensive end maybe a little bit so that they can get them out in transition, or they're the first sub breaking back to the ball, catching it from the goalie and turning up field and just using pure speed to get to the net. Like I feel like the Whips aren't using what they have as strengths on the team effectively right now. I would have Jay Carlson kind of just moving inside, causing, doing Jay Carlson things. You have to put, your Ty Warners, your guys who can really shoot, or, your defensemen really out on the perimeter and, force teams to hold off on the help. Because it seems like the Whip Snakes are getting helped on more than other teams because they aren't shooting that too. So people don't feel the pressure to not leave a guy out there.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of got to, I wouldn't say respect it, because obviously they respect everyone out there as shooters from 13, but you have to make them respect it more to the point to where they're giving you more opportunities off the dodge from not helping.
Right. Are we, in a sense, also kind of like, not surprise isn't the word that I'm looking for. I don't know what the word truly is. They're just like, they're kind of like status quo of like doing what they do with the Bunk Bed Boys and Grant. Like, their names aren't flashing in the highlight reels truly. I mean, Marcus hit that game winner against Chrome. But like, they're kind of just doing their thing quietly almost.
With Archers, it's weird, right? Because they're doing pretty much what they did during the season. Like jumping out to these huge leads and kind of just playing relaxed ball, and teams kind of make a little push at the end, but it's not enough. They did go into overtime, which is scary, but they're Archers. So a couple shots and a Marcus Holman goal and the whole thing's over. So they're very much what I thought they would be. Not too worried on the defensive side. I wouldn't say worried, but like I didn't even think about the defensive side for them. Everything with the Archers was offensive. How were Matt Moore, Marcus Holman, Will Manny, Connor DeSimone, et cetera, going to come out and play, and they played fantastic. So it's going to come down to a literal shootout. Who can score more goals? And in my opinion, I can't tell you that right now. because it's a weird game, right? If the archers are smart enough and they force these guys off the 3-point line, right? No, off the 3-point, off the 2-point arc, then they're getting all ones. You have to sell your body out and force a guy to take a one, right? That's kind of when you're playing Atlas. That's what people haven't been doing. So if the archers can do that, they could be in a position where they could possibly win this game. But it's going to be a total shootout.
Mm-hmm. And also sneaky, like under the radar, having a nice little champ series. Ryan Oghaven, 4 2-pointers.
Right? I don't know how often that's going to happen. He looked fantastic, which he has looked good in the first 2 games, but is Atlas going to let him pop off for a couple 2-pointers in a game? Not sure.
That's going to be the fun thing. And as we recording this Friday afternoon, we get that matchup. Archers Atlas, both teams undefeated right now, so we'll get to see, the battle of those two there, and then we get Chrome and Whips, which obviously this Archers Atlas game is going to be for who gets the 1 seed effectively.
And we'll play the Whips.
Yeah, which will be interesting because Whips in the playoffs are a different breed. And then 2v3, whether it's Archers Chrome in a rematch or Atlas Chrome in a rematch from the nightcap on Thursday, I think it could be a completely different game either way. With the experience that all the teams have playing in this format, I think the 2v3 is going to be the must-see, glue yourself to the TV matchup.
I selfishly want to see Archers Chrome.
Me too.
In that 2-3.
Me too.
But we'll see, because Chrome Archers was a very good game overtime. Mm-hmm. I'm here for that as well. But I also selfishly want to see in the playoffs or in the championship Archers Atlas, because I feel like that's the matchup right now.
Yeah. It's fun, and I think the championship series has kind of proven what you and I have talked about off pod. We might have talked about it a little bit on pod too, just the comparison of Premier League soccer and Champions League. It's exactly what it is, on a lowered scale, because there are more teams that qualify for Champions League than what we have in the championship series here, but the banter has been there, the just electricity has been there, the bragging rights are there if you're a fan of any of these teams. So there's a lot going into this, and there's only been one team to say that they won the first 6's championship series. So that's going to be a ton of just down your throat if you're if you're a rival of one of the teams that win. It's very fun, and Romar said it best: the more lacrosse, the better.
Simple. That's it. The
sub-tweeting, sub-posting from different people about the Champ Series and just trying to be subtle about it. Can we all just grow the fuck up and understand that it's okay to have different formats of the sport? It's okay to have it being played at the same time of year. It's okay to have it on at the same time. It's only going to benefit the sport as a whole. And you and I can agree on this. Every style of lacrosse is fun to fucking watch.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna put it like this, right? How many NBA games are on yesterday? 9. All of them were not televised everywhere, but they were all televised, at least locally. So think about how many more people were watching because there were 9 games on. But also yesterday, I'm sure there was 3-on-3 basketball played somewhere. There was high school basketball played somewhere. There was college basketball played somewhere. Those are also getting views. Now let's translate that over. There's going to be some people who have ESPN, basic cable package, but don't have ESPN Plus. They got to see the game that was on ESPN too. They don't get to see any NLL games because how often are NLL games on the main networks? I think
or locally televised.
Or exactly. So it's an opportunity for more eyes to get on the game. Secondly, on the other point,
which Archer's Atlas, by the way, not to cut you off, is on ESPN2 Friday.
Perfect. I guarantee you somebody's watching that game. A nice handful of people are going to stumble across that just channel surfing, and they're going to watch. Why? Because I'm going to get into that right here. What you mentioned, the exciting part of every form of lacrosse. We look at box. It's indoors, high intensity, physical, high scoring game, music, party. People love it. Look at traditional. People love the big hits in open field. They like that people have long sticks. The goals are crazy. They like the warm outdoor atmosphere. All that. Now let's turn to sixes. It takes the best of both of those things. Even though this is indoor, people still get an outdoor feel for it. It is 5-on-5 like box. Very fast paced, very physical, very high scoring, but still has the culture of that outdoor league a little bit. So there's nothing wrong with having multiple ways of playing the same sport. And this sixes is so similar to basketball that it's the best way to draw people in. The random person is going to be more amped to watch a back and forth sixes game that doesn't stop for 1,000 faceoffs, which is okay. Do I want to take the faceoff out of the game? No. But this is a way to introduce them. They like sixes. They get hooked. They watch sixes. We introduce them to the NLL. Oh, it's just as physical, very fast-paced, da-da-da-da. They like that. Introduce them to field. Boom. Now they like all forms of lacrosse, and then they don't care what kind of lacrosse is on. They just want to watch lacrosse. Whoa. Maybe if all of you thought like that, lacrosse would be, I don't know, the fourth biggest sport in America? Just maybe. Just maybe. I don't know what I'm talking about. But if we just look at it in a way to where every form of lacrosse will bring in a different type of person to become a fan, because that's really the idea of putting lacrosse on TV, is to grab an average viewer, somebody who isn't necessarily a fan of lacrosse, and make them a fan of lacrosse. Doesn't matter which one they get into first, they're bound to bleed into the rest. So just use this for the advantage that it is. Talk about the good things that are happening, and welcome more people into the world of lacrosse.
And we're both perfect examples of that. Like, I started watching lacrosse with box, bled into the field game, and you went reverse. You started obviously with field, you played, and then you started watching box. Like, it is a simple and seamless transition across the board. And if you get the concept, you're going to watch it whenever it's on.
And for people who are like, oh, the same teams are going to get in for the Olympics that would have gotten in for the World Championships, they would have sent 10 teams, even a 10-man team. No, they wouldn't have. The IOC wanted to see sixes for a reason. More countries are going to enter because it's a lot easier to put together an 18-man team plus 2 goalies for a sixes roster than it is to put together a 40-man team plus 3 goalies for a traditional team roster. And everybody doesn't have an ice rink where they live, and they can't just build boards in the middle of nowhere to play box. So play sixes where it is easy and more accessible for everyone to play. And then as we gain traction and money into this thing, we can start to expand the traditional game elsewhere. Look at Senegal with the NBA. They're producing mass product. I shouldn't say mass product, but they're producing tons of very good basketball players through their NBA program in Senegal, because they started with the game of basketball here, but they also did 3-on-3. They also play horse. They also play 21. And then they teach these things to other players, and then they build up from there as they gain money and traction. We're trying to just, boom, lacrosse should be big. Not how it works, man. We got to put in time, got to put in effort, got to make people love it, and then they will dump the time, money, effort just like we did, and that's how it grows.
And we talked about this, I'm pretty sure, last year when, like, the concept of, like, sixes tournaments and stuff were, like, coming up and everything. From a player, like, from a pro player or, like, you know, trying to be pro player perspective, sixes could be a way to, like, save/salvage/revitalize a career. Like, you could have somebody who may be out of a league or something like that, you know, PLL-wise, can't crack a roster or whatever. If down the line there is, you know, a subset of the PLL that is like a G League or something like that where it is a sixes format, you're playing sixes now, and because you have the speed or you have, you know, the dodging ability, sixes could help, you know, extend careers. Like Stag said, if sixes was a full year, like a full season type of thing, Matt Abbott's career would be extended 10 more years. So, like, that's something to also just, like, who knows if it happens, you know, if there is, you know, a subset type of league or something like that with sixes, or, you know, when it comes to the Olympics and stuff like that, where guys may be out of the PLL, but they're playing in the Olympics, similar to some other sports, like, you know, you're out of Major League Baseball, but you're playing for Team USA in the Olympics or in the World Baseball Classic or stuff like that. It's a way to help extend careers.
We need, because I just got a notification for this, we need sixes to become the XFL of lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
AJ McCarron went from Alabama superstar, winning national championships, to busting in the NFL, to now leading the 2-0 St. Louis Battlehawks in the XFL and making them look fantastic, coming back from an 18-point deficit in the fourth quarter.
And look at the XFL 2.0 as well, like, to even kick it back further. Like, obviously, pandemic happened, so it ended things, but you had the likes of PJ Walker, who got an NFL opportunity. Yep. And you look at the guys who are in this iteration of the XFL now with The Rock and everything, you're telling me if he doesn't play well, Vic Beasley's not going to get a call from an NFL team this offseason. Martavis Bryant is not going to get his career revitalized, you know, for the tail end into his 30s now as a wide receiver in the NFL. Offensive linemen, especially, with a more focused and more ample playing time for guys who traditionally backups, but you get more film on them. You bring them in, you have an opportunity to turn them into a swing offensive lineman for your team. Defensively, I mean, you're telling me, too, next year Marquette King's not on an NFL roster as a punter? You're kidding yourself.
Yep. There's so much benefit.
Same thing with the USFL, too.
So much benefit that comes from having these subset leagues. So, like, sure, get over yourself. That's just my thing on it. Get over yourself.
Just grow up.
And enjoy the growing of the sport that we love.
100%.
Growing pains. It doesn't feel good to grow, people.
Great
show.
They call
them pains for a reason.
Great show. But yeah, the championship series, I think, so far, and will continue to, has lived up to the hype and is going to be a mainstay in the PLL for years to come. And I think it's just going to be fun for the growth of the PLL as well. Like, imagine when we get to 10 teams in the PLL and it's still only 4 teams qualifying for the Champ Series. Like, it makes it that much more exclusive. And like we said, it's very similar to the Premier League and Champions League in soccer. Like, you want to qualify for that Champions League spot. You want to qualify for the Championship Series because that's another trophy in your trophy case for your team. That is, for those players, more money for them as players to continue growing with their careers and stuff like that. So I think it's done a phenomenal job, and, you know, I'm excited to just see the games, how they transpire on Friday, and then into the semifinals on Saturday, and then I will be at the final on Sunday. So if you're going to be there, come say what's up. Very excited to be there for the championship on Sunday. But Deej College, let's kick it to the college game. What a concept. Another style of lacrosse going on at the same time as others. Who would have thunk?
Right?
Who would have thunk?
No, I think it's okay, though, because it's traditional lacrosse, so it's not a big deal.
True. It's an 80-second shot clock, so.
Right. It's
not as fast-paced.
Very, very slow. Very, very slow.
break down week 3 for the people. What stood out to you this week in the college game?
Well, Brown and Princeton held it down for the Ivies. We know how everybody gets with Ivies with the preseason rankings going out. They're always ranked so high. They don't play games as early as everybody else, and they keep their rankings. And, well, Princeton took care of Manhattan. Brown beat Providence. So, I mean, Ivy League has looked okay to start the year. Nothing that's made me, like, extremely happy or, like, oh, Ivy League is back. Like, I'm still looking a little skeptical at last year's playoffs and how many Ivy League teams got in. But my boys, Michigan, 2-1 now. Only loss is to the number 1 team in the country, Virginia, by 4. Well, I don't know if they're number 1 anymore still, but top 4 team in the country. They lost by 4, first game of the year. I'm happy with Michigan. I'm excited to see what they have moving forward, but the offense looks very good. Fairfield was the only team that played on Wednesday, played Sacred Heart. 12-point dub is what it is. This weekend is going to be fun. Anytime Towson and Richmond play each other, it is fireworks. I don't know what it is about the way Richmond's color scheme looks against the porthole mesh that Towson wears, but I love the jersey matchup in this. I'm excited to see how that one plays out, but I'm kind of leaning toward Townsend. They've looked very good this year. Michigan traveling up to Marquette. 1 a.m. Eastern time is wild. Okay. I don't think that's right, but I don't think I'll be able to watch that game. Oh, wait, it's at Marquette, so it's on YouTube. I'll be watching that. That's going to be a game to watch. Michigan and Marquette is.
Was that just a playback at 1 a.m.?
I hope it's a playback at 1 a.m. No, because this is on like the NCAA website. It can't be a playback.
They can't be playing a game at 1 in the morning.
There's no way they're playing a game at 1 in the morning, bro. I'm ignoring it. It's got to be like
that's some Baltimore Colts traveling in the middle of the night, not telling anybody type shit.
Bro, because this Merrimack and Denver game is 2 a.m. Eastern. Ooh. Are they paying late Friday night in Denver?
That's probably what it is. And then they're probably like rebroadcasting it
on Saturday morning. I don't know. That's weird though, because they're not on the Friday roster or on the Friday schedule. Anyway, be on the lookout for those games. Merrimack has only lost 1 game this year, and Denver's Denver, so that game will be fun. Loyola Maryland, Rutgers. Loyola in their chrome green has been running through competition left and right. Rutgers dropped a tough one last week, so they'll both be looking to bounce back. Well, Loyola will be looking to keep their momentum going. Rutgers will be looking to bounce back. So that'll be a fun game. Notre Dame, Georgetown, always good when they get together. Navy, High Point, check market. I'm upset this says TBA right now for that time, so I'll be looking at when I'll be able to watch that because I'm excited for that. Cornell, Harvard, Dartmouth, all playing this weekend. Colgate and Harvard playing each other. Utah, Johns Hopkins is going to be fun to watch. Virginia, Ohio State, which will probably be on BTN Plus. So shoot me and everyone else in the head for that horrible camera angle. Duke Penn will be fun because I want to see Sam Hanley go to work. I think they have more than enough to beat Duke. So that'll be a nice ACC Ivy League competition. Maryland and Princeton, same thing. Big Ten Ivy League, that'll be fun. North Carolina, Syracuse, everybody's had this circled to see how Joey Spillane is going to play in his first time against the Tar Heels. Penn State, Yale will also be fun. And Vermont, the Catamounts, man. Shout out to the Catamounts. I like watching them play. They play with a lot of energy. Very fun to watch. They're taking on Brown. So Brown will be looking to win again, keep their momentum going. Catamounts looking to get their first win of the year. Anything good on Sunday? Villanova, Delaware will be fun. Hampton's or High Point's playing back-to-back. They play Hampton on Sunday, so that'll be interesting. Fairfield plays Richmond, so they'll play again this week too. Anything on Tuesday worth talking about? St. John's and Rutgers. St. John's and Rutgers is always a fun game. Battle of the Red. Rutgers will be the team to watch in that one, though they'll probably have a good game. Cornell and Hobart. on Tuesday as well. That wraps up February. Loyola and Townsend play Wednesday. That's the only game worth watching on Wednesday. We know how that game is. That's kind of like the battle on Charles Street between Loyola and Hopkins. That in-state battle means a lot to those teams down there. And right now, Loyola has been owning them. Not only did they beat Maryland, but they turned around and beat Hopkins as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them sweep Maryland and beat Townsend to close things out. Then that's it, really. We can get into next Saturday, next week. But a loaded slate this week. We saw all the big games, really, with like Syracuse, North Carolina, and stuff. Saturday is going to be the day. So if you have plans on the 25th, you probably shouldn't, because there's lacrosse on literally all day. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, there'll be lacrosse on. So if you have plans, cancel it.
Also, shout out to the kid, Joey Spallina, that disgusting goal.
Same kind of energy, just the man, great. I'm looking at these tickets, though. Do we get credentials for NCAA finals?
Well,
tickets
might be in the works.
$195 right now.
Credentials
for
might
that
be
weekend.
In the works.
So I might cash on that and just come out there anyway. It's Memorial Day weekend. I don't care.
Turn up.
Turn up.
So there it is. My college lacrosse recruitment tour. Same team still in the mix. Add your teams. Comment on YouTube. Right now on the list so far, on the preliminary list, it's Syracuse, it's Denver. Keep adding your teams. Need more teams on the list. So colleges, come pander. You want to recruit me, come pander. Pandering works. So that's the update there. But that's all we got for you guys this week. Make sure you're following us on the socials at OTBLaxPod on Twitter, Instagram. We're doing championship series videos every single day. So make sure you check those out over on our Instagram. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_next. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. Leave a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. It helps the show continue to grow. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's where you get full video episodes of every show on our network. You get live streams, you get clips, shorts, original content, interviews. It's all on our YouTube channel. YouTube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Get us to 400 subscribers by the end of the month. You got 4 more days. 4 more days. That's 3 people a day. 3 people a day subscribe. We hit our mark. So go subscribe and make sure you get your merch. phiapparel.co. Use code UNDERGROUND. You get 10% off any and all orders. So go get your OTB merch. And this has been episode number 262. Oh, real quick, too. We are going to have a quick, 30-minute-ish episode on Monday for you guys to recap the Champ Series. That'll be out on Monday as soon as we possibly can. We'll keep you guys updated when that'll be out, but we're going to record just a Championship Series recap episode that'll be on the feed and on YouTube on Monday. So stay tuned for that as well. But this has been episode number 262 of the allegedly award-nominated number 9 NCAA ranked, honorably mentioned, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, official lacrosse pod on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Deej, I'm KB. Enjoy this lacrosse equinox that we have this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.
Peace.